You have 36 plus pregnancy, 37 years of life with this young man.
Yeah.
And people decided to have an opinion over what they heard for 30 seconds. Can you please tell me how you dealt with that?
I can't justify that. It broke my heart that he did what he did, but it does not still take away from the fact that how I communicated to my son was wrong.
The point that I think he's making is, pursue the healing, but when you have a son or a daughter, every single second you're required to be that father. Have you ever written down all of your roles? Son, employee, brother, producer, host, all the different roles that you have to be excellent at to maintain that level, especially at this age, to maintain all the roles that you have as a man. It's like when you look at all of those things that if you're not excellent at one of those, you're looked down upon as you're less than.
Times of me when people looking at you as the face of gospel music, and you got kids, and you got a wife. So I understand where he's at. I'm not excusing the stuff he's doing, but I understand where he's at and what he's trying to do.
There are different burdens that we carry. Y'all as men have very different burdens than women have.
Do you think Kirk is the right person to bring it about? Like, what do you think?
I just think.
I do have a question because I don't have grown kids. And I've seen that you publicly have gone through stuff with your grown kids.
Yes.
How did you deal with people having opinions? You have 36 plus pregnancy, 37 years of life with this young man.
Yeah.
And people decided to have an opinion over what they heard for 30 seconds. Can you please tell me how you dealt with that? Because I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
And the ad on top, you a God-fearing man.
Yes.
People are putting you on a pedestal where they
You know
feel
how
like
it
you
is.
have no mistakes.
Yeah.
You can't say nothing like you're not human.
Right, you're not human. You know that, bro. You know that. How did you deal with that? Because, man.
And the sad part is, I'm still dealing with it. That's the sad part. That was just an opportunity for the public to see what, as a family, we've dealt with. And I love him. I love him. He's my firstborn. I mean, that's my firstborn son. And we've had many rough days. And he's got so much potential, bro. I think that the biggest challenge is what he said and what you said. I think that being in church takes away your humanity. So you don't get the opportunity to just be human. You don't have the opportunity to make a mistake, because think about it, most dads make mistakes.
All the time.
They just don't have to make mistakes in front of everyone.
Exactly.
And it was a mistake I made. I mean, how I communicated to him was wrong. I can't justify that. It broke my heart that he did what he did, but it does not still take away from the fact that how I communicated to my son was wrong. And I think that I think that as fathers, there's some things that we have to learn that we will have to live with lips. We're not gonna be fixed from everything. Everything ain't gonna be well. Everything ain't gonna be whole. There's some relationships that you gotta walk and it's gonna be limps, and you know what you gotta do? You gotta win wounded.
You gotta win wounded?
You gotta win wounded. You gotta drag your across the finish line, blood dripping, leg broke, and you gotta win wounded. But here's the beautiful thing though. The beautiful thing is that when you do your best, God has this dope way of taking them seeds that you plant, and we may not live to see them. We may be gone. But someday, some way, God gonna water them seeds. And the little things that you try to do right, they gonna flourish. Because see, we sometimes want the glory, but instead of always wanting the glory as a parent, let's make sure that we just do enough so that they live their life.
All right, what'd you think about that one?
Why'd you bleep it out?
I had to bleep a couple things.
I remember when Kirk Franklin's son dropped that audio. I don't think I ever heard it, though. I think every version I heard, it was bleeped. I never heard what he actually said.
I heard that more raw than living.
Me too.
Okay, so
when I catch you in the street, I'm like, dang.
Okay, so it was like that?
Yeah, he talked to him like he owed him money.
Yeah, he did. Sit your $5.
He talked to him like he owed him money, boy. Like, I was surprised to see Kirk go to that level. You know what I'm saying? Because folks always like, man, Kirk seemed a little soft. Kirk was a full Negro on that one.
Yeah, he said, what, throw hands on you? He's like, you push me to the right.
Yeah.
But when you feel embarrassed though, if you talking to your kid and you thinking not thinking it's not being recorded.
I think he is embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean,
we say he's still dealing with it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like at the same time, like you're having a passionate conversation, especially if your kid going back and forth with you and not showing you no respect. You going back and forth with him, and then you go, "Who do you think you are?" Like,
what I've learned from recent events is I need to make sure nobody's recording nothing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I need proof.
Right.
I need proof.
And now they got
iPhone
that
do
little
that now
button.
too. They got the button now. Your call is now being recorded.
Yeah, at least you told me.
But yeah, I think overall this conversation was good. It was good to see DC Young Fly and everybody else there as well. Just talking about just real stuff. I think that's kind of what it should look like. Discipleship should look like. These are young men that are saying they believe in Jesus. They're trying their best. Okay, let me show you what it looks like as a man. Now, I think where the problem is some people don't agree with how he's discipling these young men.
Yeah.
So you would be like, well, I would have said this or I would have said that, But I think that is a good picture to sit around a table with young men and just have real conversations. And we've had the pleasure of having some of those conversations with some of your favorite artists where they're like, hey, I'm struggling with this or hey, I'm doing that. Like literally in this room after the show, no cameras, no lights, where you just be like, what's going on? How you feeling? What are you struggling with? How you dealing with this situation over here, that situation? So I like the concept of it. But how do you think it went? Do you think stuff like this is needed? Do you think Kirk is the right person to bring it about? Like, what do you think?
I think when I was looking at it, it seemed like they have a healthy respect for Kirk. For them to even ask those kind of questions, I think they have a certain level of respect for him. Once again, I just feel the same way I felt the last video. I just feel Kirk crying out to want to just be normal. He just want to be able to be seen as a human being without people just throwing away all the good things that he's done. But like, for instance, like him cussing in that video, people going to say you were cussing. You know what I'm saying? I just think walking with the Lord for a certain amount of time, we got to start just using a certain amount of wisdom. We got to know, at this point, you got to know the things that are going to draw a response from people. You know people going to say something if you cussing. You know folks going to say something if you dress a certain kind of way. So it's like, if I have a platform, like I said a minute ago, and my platform, the sole purpose, if it's really to bring glory to Christ, I don't mind dressing a certain kind of way. I don't mind cleaning up my language. I don't mind doing the things that I need to do in order for folks to get a clear picture of who Christ is. The things that he's doing is taking the attention off of Christ and putting the attention on him. And I understand he's a flawed individual like all of us. Like, none of us on this platform are perfect, whatever. But we're not going to come on this show intentionally and just be cussing. I'm not going to come on this show and dress a certain kind of way and just going to do stuff. You're not going to dress a certain kind of way. It's like we're attentive on what's going to affect people and how it's going to affect them.
Sure.
God has blessed us to be on this platform to be able to speak into the lives of other people. So we got to do our due diligence. And I think what happens is, where there's no boundaries, there's chaos. People want to go outside those boundaries. And I feel what he's saying. Like, I want to be known, be regular. But, bro, like, once again, you were bought with a price by Christ.
Yeah.
Without all this platform and all this kind of stuff, if you were dressing like that to go wash your car, you know what I'm saying, you'll still be wrong. If you out here, you know what I'm saying, if you were talking to somebody in the street and you were using, you know what I'm saying, you using language to just do whatever, like, it'll be wrong. And I like Kirk. I'm not going to say it feel like I don't listen to his music, but I'm just saying, it's just certain stuff, bro, you just can't do. Kirk. You got to be held accountable for it, bro. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That shirt took
you know what?
It's terrible.
I watched that whole interview. Like, as soon as it felt like it released, because right after it released, I got a message from Kirk for me to join his community or something. I was like, how do you know I was even watching this? But it was crazy because it came to my Facebook page, and I was like, I'm on YouTube. Anyway, I realized something, that when I watch clips online and when I watch Christians talk, I have to realize that their Bible study is not my Bible study. You know what I mean? I would have led things a little differently, and that's just the way I do things, right? Because I saw opportunity there to correct some of the things that were being said, but when I was sitting there, I was like, okay, so that's not gonna get addressed. That I got 10 kids with 5 baby mamas. That's just okay now. All right, you know. And then DC Young Fly and some things that he said, and then also, you know, just he kept giving them praise for the way they do things, right? Your gifts, your talents, right? But then I was like, well, let me just go see a most recent clip of, something that they've done, some comedy they've done, some kind of stand. It was just raunchy. It was wild. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. So, you can call it discipleship because I think that's definitely what he was going at. But I feel like there's things that need to be said in moments like that for the people that are listening.
It's a missed opportunity.
It's a missed opportunity because now that video, I'm guessing, when I saw it was at 250,000 and that was one day. Yeah. So now you've got young men out there who heard this. And I will say this, Kirk has a lot of brokenness. And I think listening to that, I heard a lot of it. He kept talking about not having his father, being adopted, not being wanted by his adopted mom. Like, where do you go with that information? That's hard to deal with.
Well, I cut out the section. He actually got up. He started crying. He got up. He had to collect himself, and then he came back to say the rest of that. So, yeah, I think some of this is he's going in intending to help these young men, but their questions kind of got him to be like, whoa, there's still some stuff going on with me.
Yeah, sure.
And I think his comment about when wounded, sometimes you gotta drag yourself while you're bleeding. That grieves me because I don't think that should be the standard. I understand the perspective. I think that even beyond fame, Black people have been doing this since, I shouldn't say for forever, but since slavery, at the very least. There's been a lot of you got to keep pushing, even if you're wounded, even if, you need to go lay down and get rest and get healing. You got to keep pushing. And to me, this is why therapy is important, because I don't think we understand, and I've said this before on the show, just what trauma does to us. And I really believe that it has the ability to keep us from loving well. I think it can inhibit us from being able to sit in the midst of a triggering situation when we have not healed and you cursing your son out. Instead of when you're able to heal from rejection in all of these really deep, intimate ways, now when my son is losing his mind on me because he feels rejected, because we do pass down trauma to our children if we have not taken the time to heal, you can't hear it from a place of okay, I hear your pain, so I'm just gonna sit here with you. So I think that's what I heard loud.
I think in the context of being a father, there's really no time off. You know what I mean? So I think the point that I think he's making is, pursue the healing, but when you have a son or a daughter, every single second you're required to be that father. There's never a moment where you get to rest, So
that's fair.
I think you can do both at the same time of realizing where you still have shortcomings, realizing you don't want to pass that to your kid. You don't want to treat them the way your father treated you or whatever. So you're pursuing healing, mentally, as well as you're pursuing Jesus at the same time. And then hopefully as you improve, you're doing better with your kid at the same time.
I understand that when wounded aspect to a certain degree. I agree with you. So if you're a pastor, you shouldn't be bleeding over your congregation. You shouldn't be bleeding on the people of God if you're in a leadership position. But like Sean was saying, you think about a man's life. When you go to work, you got an expectation. If you're a husband, you got an expectation. If you're a father, you got an expectation. You serve in the church, you got an expectation. Where do you go where you don't have an expectation to be a certain kind of person and perform?
That's a good point. Have you ever written down all of your roles? I tried to do it one time. Father, son,
entrepreneur,
employee, brother, producer, host, all the different roles that you have to be excellent at all at the same time. To maintain that level, especially at this age, to maintain all the roles that you have as a man, and I'm sure women as well.
Women as well, mothers,
exactly,
same thing.
But just in the context of this video, it's like when you look at all of those things that if you're not excellent at one of those, you're looked down upon as you're less than. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's this feeling that you get where you just feel like, when am I enough? Like when do I feel like I've gotten there? I always feel wounded. You know what I mean? So it's like, when do you feel like you're not wounded?
My little girl, when she opened that refrigerator, the applesauce and the little Go-Gurts gonna be. They gotta be every time she open the fridge. She don't see. She gonna close the refrigerator. she gonna open it again like daddy. Like what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like it's an expectation for them snacks to be there. It don't matter what happened with your supervisor at work. You could have got laid out with her. She 4 years. She don't understand that. Daddy, where the fruit snacks? You know what I'm saying? Like it's an expectation everywhere you go. And I've learned this last season of my life, losing both my parents, going through this personal stuff I've been going through. When the scripture says his strength is made perfect in your weakness, I think the hardest part for a man to do is admit that weakness, because when you admit that weakness and you show that vulnerability, people start looking at you like a sucker for real. But you really have to ignore that and understand that your strength is made perfect in his weakness. I got to admit, like, Lord, I really need you. And you'll be in some situations in life where you're not going to have a choice. Either you're going to make that choice and say, Lord, I need you, or you're going to keep on trying to be Superman. And that's how you have a stroke, heart attack. You're going to leave here earlier than you're probably supposed to. And that's the thing. It's hard. It's societal pressure. Like, and then we have a lot of Black women who are out here and they're looking like, man, I want a solid man of God. I want this and that. So it's an expectation for you to be a certain kind of man in order to get a certain kind of woman. Yeah. And with a person that you showed them in the beginning, you got to maintain that. And matter of fact, you got to improve on that as time goes on. So it's really not many places as a man. And I know for women, they feel the same way, but I'm just speaking as a man. That's all I've ever been.
It will be.
Yeah, and I will be. It's very few places you can look in life. You feel love, you feel the appreciation sometimes, but you feel more of a sense, I'm responsible for this. I got to handle this. I got to do this. So times of me when people looking at you as the face of gospel music, and you got kids, and you got a wife. So I understand where he's at. I'm not excusing the stuff he's doing, but I understand where he's at and what he's trying to do. I just think, you just got to use wisdom. Like, even with us, like, with all the weight that's on your shoulder, you can't just come in this mug and just do whatever you want to do. You still gotta wear it, bro.
Okay.
I just say this real quick. Like, I had a really bad week a couple weeks ago. I told some of y'all where my job was it was bad. Like, I felt like everybody was coming down on me. And then my first thought is, I'm going to be different around my family. They're going to feel like I'm stressed. They're going to feel like I'm angry. They're going to feel like all those things. And I have to now segment that part of me off so that I don't hurt my daughter.
Yeah.
When I'm actively hurt.
You're upset.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, man, how do you, it's just a lot. It's a lot to have to struggle with.
So my question is, as Black men, because that's what you all are in this space, can you all...
Never will be.
Right. Forever and always. But can you all be that for each other? Like, as brothers, can you all create a safe space where you can be unarmed and talk about, like, and because we've had, snippets of conversations before where it was like, we're not doing all that mushy gushy stuff.
We ain't saying I love you before we go to night or to bed.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
But can you create that safe space where it's like, hey, you can disarm here. You can be safe here. You can take off your armor here. You can set your roles aside and be here.
Yeah. Somebody asked me this question, right? They said, how is it that y'all have been doing this for 19 years and y'all gel so well? And James, were we having this conversation with me and you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I said we were friends first. Before you look at us as co-workers, co-laborers, whatever you want to call us, we're friends first. Sean is the godfather of my daughter. Chris is the godfather. Jeremiah is the godfather of my son. Other folks in Trackstarz are godparents of other kids of mine. I got a lot of them. And so that's what it is. And we've been that for each other. Like, if you knew the backstory, we have been that for each other.
So there is that disarming.
Oh,
that's what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, like, I think one of the hardest things we go through is a loss of any kind, right? I remember the first person I called when I lost my dad was Sean. I mean, it was early in the morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was just driving back from hospice, and I called him, and I was like, bro, he's gone, and that was hard for me. And, it's just, we've been there for each other. We have been there. First person I called when my first child was born was Sean. You know what I'm saying? Because we pray for each other. Me, Sean, Jeremiah, we've always been praying for each other. So we've always had each other's back in a major way to people outside of this show.
Unless we get confronted.
What you mean? Oh yeah. We have a rule. If somebody comes at us, how come Trackstarz? Well,
it's Jeremiah.
Whoever's not there is there.
Whoever's not there. What was it? You got cornered at Flavor Fest. Just like, oh, you do the line for line thing?
Yeah.
He's
I didn't blame nobody.
Sean came up with that.
I didn't blame nobody for that. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So no, to answer your question, Miracle, yes, we've been that for each other, and it's important to have that, and it's important to not miss those moments when other people are listening, like right now, and we have to make sure that we reiterate things and how important brotherhood is to those that are listening, because you could miss an opportunity for somebody who's out there looking for community and a friend and a.
I will say that that's the only reason I credit these guys a lot for who I am. You know, it's my father laid a good foundation for me before he passed, but then it's been these guys that I've had to lean on when things are tough. Father's Day is always hard for me because it's like a reminder, because Father's Day, his birthday was actually last Saturday. So on the show, that's what's on my mind. And then he passed like right around the same time. So this time of year is always hard. And the thought I had last Father's Day was like, who am I supposed to ask for now? When I was going through that stuff at my job, I'm like, I can't call him and say, how do you deal with this when this and this happens? So these guys, like, if they weren't here, like, I don't know who I would be today. You know what I mean? Like, literally. So what you're saying is important. I didn't create this. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, growing up, I had a hard time connecting with guys. Really hard time. Just because me and my father's relationship wasn't great. It got better towards the end of his life. But it wasn't great during the time. So I always had a hard time with authority. I always had a hard time connecting with other guys. But these guys, they were made to connect with me. Like, God designed them to be able to overcome when I'm quiet. Sometimes I'm real moody. Sometimes I don't say much. Sometimes I don't answer the phone. You know, but they know how to cut through all that nonsense. And if it wasn't for, like, literally, I'm telling you this. If it wasn't for y'all, I don't know who I would be, honestly. So,
Same, man.
Well, I'm
Praise
grateful
God.
to hear that.
Dope.
I'm grateful to hear that. I think this will probably be another conversation for another time. I would just be curious to hear you all's thoughts about how to create rhythms of rest. Because I think just hearing what you all are saying, I'm like, nah, that's a heavy load. And I appreciate the inclusiveness of you saying like women have the things, but I've been coming into the realization recently that there are different burdens that we carry. You know, y'all as men have very different burdens than women have. And I think just coming to that realization, I want to learn so that I can be more empathetic for you all and show up better as a sister, as a friend, and in prayer, because there are just things that I have not been exposed to. And so just wanting to have more insight to that. But yeah, like just to put it into the ether for future reference, just wanting to figure out like what ways can you all and other men of God like create rhythms of rest, like take Sabbath, because I have perpetually seen how even just the stint I had working in the music industry, like there is so much glorification around hustle, grind. And it's like, as children of God, we have access to peace. We have access to abide, to find rest. But what do we do around creating rhythms, creating disciplines that honor that? Because as we choose rest, we choose to acknowledge God is sovereign and he's the ultimate lead. So that's something that's just a huge thing on my heart.
That's good, Miracle, because that's the one thing we haven't done well. We're always working. Every conversation we have is always about like, okay, what do we do on the show? Like Jeremiah, we usually have a conversation before Friday night sometime. We're like, all right, anything that we need to change, any clips we need to swap out, I'll do these, you do these. Me and Ryan like, okay, what about this? We have a meeting with so-and-so. We're always working. We rarely just go to the movies or go hang out or go do stuff. Like we never like, hey, yo, James, hey, Rick. Hey, because we've always been missional. Like everything we've done has been, okay, we got to save people. We got to reach people. We're always working. So I do think that is something we need to figure out is how we could just go out and just hang out and just not have any responsibility, not have any
recharge.
Yeah, just have a time for ourselves. You know?
Yeah.
There's a fear there though. there's a fear that things are gonna fall through the cracks.
Yep.
I was on vacation with my family
That's all I was about
this
to say.
entire week, and I had my laptop, and I was doing independent artist spotlights, and I was editing interviews, and I was answering emails, and I was responding to Nectar questions, because you feel like, first of all, I know what Sean's going through. We had a conversation about it. I don't want to call him and be like, hey, did you see that email? Did you see that email? I just got to take pockets where, my kids are, watching a movie, and I just got to, real quick, da-da-da-da. Like, my kids were like, hey, Daddy, we want you to watch this movie with us. Please close your laptop. And I'm like, I'm almost done.
That's really hard because you feel like any moment you're not working, we're slipping from what our purpose,
Yeah. Well, I'll just say that I'm willing to sit down with you all and we can strategize about finding, you know what I mean, some sort of rhythm of rest.
This was kind of your purpose. You told us a long, long time ago. This is the kind of stuff you said you wanted to do.
This is what I want to do down the line.
Wow.
So you've been with us for years, and we really appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
love you guys. But yeah, I'm willing to do that for real. Like,
That's good.
More important, because y'all good at grinding. Y'all real good.
If you create a program, I think a lot of people here listening could benefit from that program as well.
Okay, we gonna start small.